Are you hard stuck in your rank and you're looking to make season 1 the best season you've had thus far? Well, in this video, I'm gonna give you 10 tips to rank up in season 1. Starting off with tip number 1. Do your best to avoid the toxicity. I know we're all gamers, and if you've been a gamer as long as I have, you know it's a pretty big ask to ask other gamers not to be toxic. So do what you can to avoid it. So what I've personally done is that I've gone into the streamer settings of the game. Even though I stream, I'm not using it for the typical streamer settings, but there is a setting in here where if you turn it off, you don't see any chats from anybody who's not on your team. That means you don't see anybody on the other team talking trash to you. If you happen to drop around, you don't see anybody on your team screaming at you that they're not getting enough heals or anything like that. So the other day, me and my buddies, we were on a hot streak. We went like 7-1. And in the one game we lost, we had some person on our team just screaming about not getting enough heals. And my buddies were like, hey, don't worry, man, you were doing a killer job healing. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about because I couldn't see it. So certain things are in your control. If you don't like seeing the toxicity from other players, just turn that setting off. I try to be self-aware, and I mentioned this in another video, self-awareness is key. I get tilted pretty easily. So I turn this setting off and my mental health in this game has improved dramatically, all right? Tip number 2, practice ranked, all right? Ranked is a different setting than it is in quick match, and every single rank is going to be different. When you play bronze and silver, they're kind of the same, but when you get up to gold, it starts getting a little bit more serious. Platinum, definitely. Diamond, you start getting, the picks and the bans and everything, but practice ranked mode as much as you can so you start getting used to a more competitive style of play. If you wanna win in ranked, you gotta play ranked, all right? Even if you need to, hop on, a different account if you don't wanna screw up your rank by getting some practice in, just go and practice ranked as much as you can. This will help you ranked up as you get used to the mode a bit more. Tip number 3, focus on 1 or 2 heroes if possible, all right? Become a 1-trick or become a 2-trick, okay? So for example, I'm primarily a strategist. I enjoy the role. I think it's one of the most important roles in the game. I enjoy healing. I love making plays when you can like pop your ult and counter other ults. It's huge, it could swing games. So I primarily play heals, but sometimes I gotta play something else. So I also practice a bunch of different tank characters. I've been practicing a lot of Doctor Strange lately, but you wanna focus on this, okay? Because first off, you don't want to just be a 1-trick. You don't wanna only have 1 hero because if somebody else on your team like picks the person you were gonna play, your team's gonna be screwed, all right? Like the other day, I was playing and I was going to play Luna Snow and this guy on my team, he was like, I only play Luna, I only play Luna. I'm like, hey, that's cool. And I swapped over to Mantis, we ended up winning. And that's because I play a variety of healers. But if a healer wasn't available, I could have swapped over to tank, okay? So try to practice multiple heroes as you rank up, but don't practice too many. You don't want to spread yourself too thin, okay? Tip number 4, if you're new to this channel, you don't know this, but I always say tip number 4. Tip number 4 is communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. This is huge. This is something that not only have I noticed in my own ranking experience as I rank up, the higher rank I get, the more people are communicating, but also when I watch a lot of the top ranked players, they are communicating all the time, okay? They're communicating where they're seeing enemies, they're communicating when their ults are coming up, they're communicating just about everything possible. They're strategizing and working together, okay? If you want to rank up, communicate with your team. If for some crazy reason you don't have a microphone, okay, do your best to pop on your keyboard and say certain things, okay? Communicate when you can. I don't mean like in the middle of the fight, but if you happen to die or in between rounds, try to communicate with your team and talk with them, okay? Tip number 5. Now, we talked about avoiding toxicity, but tip number 5 is more important because it's a lot easier to control you than it is to control others. So tip number 5 is try not to be toxic, okay? This can be hard, okay? Because a lot of us aren't trying to be toxic. Some people are, but a lot of us are not trying to be toxic. But like, how do you ask somebody in the nicest way possible to switch heroes without them getting super defensive, all right? We Marvel Rivals players, we have egos. We get a little up in our feelings when someone asks us to switch, because here's the reason behind it. People take that as a hint of, oh, you're not good at this game. No, this doesn't mean that the person's not good at the game. It means that they're not doing good in that role at that moment, okay? But do your best to say, hey, what would you think about switching characters? Or be like, hey, do you think, we could swap positions? Just ask the question, okay? I've realized in my years that it's a lot better to ask the question rather than telling somebody, okay? There's a big difference between, hey, can you switch? And hey, you're doing terrible, you need to switch. Tip number 6, understand the alt economy. This is probably the most important lesson that I learned as I ranked up. Like when I was in like bronze and silver and even somewhat in gold, like this wasn't a huge deal, all right? People are just popping their ultimates all willy-nilly. But as you reach like, platinum and diamond, like the ultimate economy is so important, okay? So what I mean by this is that you want to save your ults, you want to time your ults for when you could make big plays, all right? So say you're like a DPS or you're a Doctor Strange, you might be baiting out the other team's ults, or you want to know when the other team has defensive ults up so your ult will be the most impactful. If you're a strategist, you want to know who's on the other team, who has the biggest ults where you're going to need to save your ult, all right? This is another time where communication really comes into play. You want to tell your team if you've noticed like, hey, they don't have any defensive ults, or if you missed it or you're not sure, ask your team, say, hey, has the other team used, this ult or this ult yet? So you can start strategizing around it. But let me tell you this, like as I got higher rank and learned this, like my game started going a lot better as I was communicating this and really paying attention to who had what ult on both teams, all right? Tip number 7, it's tough, but try not to let losses tilt you, okay? Like this can be, very difficult, all right? There are games where they're like very close or maybe get blown out, but you need to just reset because every single game is a new game. It's a brand new, fresh start. You don't wanna carry the previous game into the next game. But if you really wanna get micro with it, like it's the same for every single round, right? Like let's say, you're playing domination, you lose the first map. You need to reset going into the next one. You need to get your emotions under control. And if you really want to get micro with it, reset after each death. Recognize what happened, what went wrong, right? Did you screw up? Did someone on your team screw up, all right? If it's something to do with your team, try communicating, okay? But try not to get tilted. Once you get tilted, the other team is in your head and they're going to get the wins, all right? So do what you can to get your emotions under control. Sometimes it's just taking a deep breath. Maybe you need to go play some quick plays in between your ranked matches if you're getting really tilted. So just keep an eye on your emotions, all right? Number 8, understand the concept of pushing up and holding choke points when you have the advantage. Aside from the alt economy, this is something else that's really big when you start ranking up. So what do I mean by this? So going back to like a domination map where you're holding the point, let's say you take over the point, you wipe the other team, or you're up in numbers, you have like, you took out like 3 of them, you have all 6 on your team. You wanna start pushing up over to their side of the map to a choke point. You wanna hold them back, all right? This game is all about the time, all right? Once the time runs out, if you're ahead, you're going to win, or you're gonna keep them off the point and delay them from getting it. So if you push up and you hold choke points, and this is an area of the map where they only have like 1, maybe 2 entrances, the longer you can hold them back there, the less time they have to come and take the point back. This is going to start frazzling them because they're gonna have to make tougher decisions as the clock runs out. So when you have this advantage, communicate with your team and say, hey, we need to push up, we need to hold this choke point. If you're not on a mic for some godforsaken reason, start pushing up, pinging that area, and hopefully your team will find them. But as you get higher in the ranks, a lot of people will know to do this. And by the way, as you're in the lower ranks, if you start using some of these higher rank strategies, it will help. Just to go back to like the alt economy, with this season, we all reset like 7 divisions, which I personally think is ridiculous, and hopefully they change it next season. But anyways, if you start using some of these strategies in the lower ranks, they'll work, all right? While other people in the lower ranks are just blowing their ults all left and right, if you're smart with them, you're just gonna automatically win matches. That's just how it is. So yeah, start using some of these concepts like, you know, the ult economy and understanding the concept of pushing up and holding choke points in the lower ranks. I promise it'll help you, all right? Tip number 9, play the good/meta heroes, all right? There are, you know, multiple, you know, videos out there, top ranked players with different tier lists. We even have multiple websites from the official Marvel Rivals website, which I don't think they've updated yet with Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic, but there are other websites out there that can show you the stats. They'll show you exactly what heroes are best in which tiers. So if you're looking at the screen right now, this is rivalsmeta.com. And if you go here, you can actually filter it by different ranks, all right? So if you go to Diamond, you can see what the top heroes are right now. You can actually filter it by strategist. You can filter it by duelist. You can filter it by Vanguard. So see who the top characters are right now in your rank and practice them. So I guess what I'm getting at is don't play Jeff. Stop playing Jeff. He's not good or meta. You can look at any single rank and Jeff is never going to be on top. I think he might be on the bottom for every single rank, but play the good and the meta heroes for the love of God. If you want to rank up, play the good characters, okay? Lastly, tip number 10, know when to stop. Some people just get into this downward spiral. Their tilt gets out of control. They just keep queuing up and queuing up and queuing up. And something I've kind of realized, and maybe it's because I live in Las Vegas, maybe it's because I'm a former addict and I used to have a gambling problem, but as you keep losing, there's something in your brain that's saying this one's gonna be different, this one's gonna be different. And yes, eventually you're gonna break that loss streak, okay? That's another reason why you can't let losses get to you. Like, you will break that loss streak, but you need to know when it's time to walk away, okay? You need to say, okay, you know what? I'm done with ranked for the day. I'm gonna come back and play ranked tomorrow, or maybe if you're queuing in the morning and you're on a loss streak, you come back later in the evening and you play again. But don't get into that spiral where you just go 7, 8, 9, 10 games losing in a row, because it's just gonna make things worse. At some point, you're just gonna check out, or you're gonna be tilted and you're not gonna be playing to your full capabilities, okay? Something that I've realized in this game is the seasons are long, man. Like this season, what is it, like 2 months, 3 months? It's something crazy like that. You have so much time. There is no rush. So stop comparing yourself to others and where other people are at right now. Go at your own pace. You have plenty of time. Like right now, if you wanted to push to Grandmaster, Celestial, you know, Eternity, whatever, you have so much time. We are not even a month into this season, okay? So there's no reason for you to sit there and just keep queuing over and over and over again as you're losing. There's something out there where people call it the loser's queue, and I don't have any evidence or data to back this up, but people say once you start losing, you just keep getting put with other losers and get into this loser queue. I don't see any evidence of this, and I personally, if you want my opinion, I don't see why that would make sense. Why would NetEase, you know, create something in the queuing algorithm to put you with other losers so you keep losing, right? Obviously, NetEase wants to keep you playing the game, so why would they put you in a situation where a lot of people are going to tilt out and not want to play the game? All right, so anyways, just do it for your own mental health. Get a reset. If you start losing quite a few, just go, if you want to keep playing, just go play Quick Match for a while, or Conquest, or Doom Match, or whatever it is. All right, but anyways, these are a lot of things that have helped me rank up, okay, over the last 2 seasons. Hopefully they will help you, all right? But let me know what's helped you out down in the comments below, okay? But anyways, that's all I got for this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell, and yeah, have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.